So we are going to have a very insightful and disruptive plenary sessions, which is really opening a door on the future, which is as well our present, on how we can have inclusive coding and how AI can be served in a way which is, positive because of inclusivity. So I would like to call on stage our dear friend and mentor, Cristina Lunghi. Cristina Lunghi, please. Thank you very much. We are very happy to have with us, flying over from the beautiful old legacy of Carthage, from Tunisia, Omar Triki from the Fondation Tunisie pour le Développement. We have as well a visionary, someone that has been at the front line of IT, technology, and engineering, a colleague of mine in some initiatives in France that are supportive of positive impact with technology. I call on stage, coming from France, Peyret. We have as well with us the pleasure to receive a testimonial from a woman that is supportive of this positive impact in a major institution which is one of the oldest as well in Europe, which is the Banque de France. Delphine Lescarcel-Evin will be sharing a testimonial with a video shared to us. Under your applause, Delphine, we salute you. We have as well the pleasure to be joined by a woman that is, as well at the forefront on how real estate and digitalization can be opening new doors, new avenues of collaboration and impact. We are greatly appreciated to be joined by Caroline Dennis. Very good. Exactly. Last but not least, we had the pleasure in the first session this morning to see a true CEO leader committed for diversity and inclusion. He made and achieved his goal sooner than expected. We are calling Noureddine Hajji to share as well on innovation, how EY Tunisia is going as well to outperform its peers. Thank you very much, under your applause. Thank you. And now the floor is all yours.
So, again, hello everybody. Thank you so much to be there. You saw that this morning we have parity, and this afternoon you have absolutely parity to our panels. So, as this morning I will give you just some element of context to understand well, and after the panelists will give you the example, the concrete example as we did this morning. So, talking about inclusive AI, please don't put this. It's a work in progress. Voila. Okay, thank you. Talking about inclusive AI is not about using specialist jargon. Rather, it is about asking a philosophical, geostrategic, and humanistic question. Will the world defined by AI be better or worse? This is a question we need to answer this afternoon, and this is a challenge we must take on before it's too late, because AI is an incredibly fast. This issue also fits into an historical dimension. AI is changing the course of history, and it is doing so right now. Today, in my opinion, we have reached a crossroad that, for the first time in human history, raises the question of our finitude in a very conscious manner. We live in a century that brings together three issues that are in complete symbiosis with each other and are interdependent. The first is the climate change. Climate change is a very, very crucial issue, which puts humanity in urgent needs of finding solutions, if they exist, to stop the looming catastrophe. A second issue is a major societal issue posed by feminist movement that emerged with the industrial era, followed by all the major causes known as diversity, anti-racist movement, physical appearance, disability, LGBT+, etc. These movements have brought a new moral order to our societies by demanding, alongside gender equality, a fairer, more equitable world where everyone has a place in all their facets, in all their diversities, in an inclusive dimension. The primary issue concerns the two poles of humanity, because at birth, we are all either girls or boys, all different, from different ethnic background, with different health condition, etc., but boys or girls. And if there is no universal law on the planet, in this, the law of inequality between women and men exists. We are well aware of the mechanisms of these inequalities, yet we struggle to eliminate them. Overall, without any value judgment, because it is a proven fact, we live in a world dominated by men. Our societies, our system of organization, power, and governance have been structured as such. Thus, literature, arts, theory, history have been the work of men, even if in recent years we have discovered many female artists, writers, philosophers, scientists hidden in the archive of oblivious and that are slowly exhumating. And third issue, a very, very important one, is artificial intelligence. It is an issue that becomes stronger every day. People discovered AI during COVID, when we were locked down at home and where our only link with the outside was AI. We worked with AI, we eat with AI, we had entertainment with AI. AI was everywhere in our lives. And we discovered a society organized around algorithms. The post-COVID period made everyone realize that AI had entered in our lives irreversibly and that its use was accelerating. And the use was accelerating. The acceleration of AI can be frightening, but for me and for Arborus, we are instead convinced that AI represents an historic opportunity to change the status quo and become a vector of equality we seek, but have yet to achieve. Indeed, AI appears as a unique means to foster a shared and common vision between women and men, and to revisit all our values frameworks with the coding of our behaviors, habits, feelings, to create a new set of values that will reshape system of organization and governance. This is not wishful thinking, but it is the only way to steer the world toward more egalitarian and therefore more democratic system. At Arborus, we are convinced that equality is the pillar of the new world that is emerging, and This is a civilizational challenge. But inclusive AI is a very difficult concept to understand. And thank you to CIGEF to give us the opportunity to explain it. So, we are still trying to define inclusion by its opposite. I like to say that inclusive AI is exclusive AI, which seems very appropriate now for AI today. This again represents a significant societal challenge. Indeed, the notion of inclusion and the definition states mainly concern humans. It is therefore within human resources that algorithms exclusion was first detected. The first AI bug, if I can say that like this, is in recruitment. Do you remember in 2018, Amazon and Google, algorithms recruitment which exclude women of the recruitment and were abandoned for this reason. Based on these very concrete examples, my organization realized the risk of a non-inclusive AI and the possibility that our efforts since 30 years now would be erased. To prevent the risk of this evolution leading to programmed aggravation of inequalities and increased discrimination against women, but not only against everybody, we, along with the Orange Group, developed the first international charter for an inclusive AI. And I invite you all to sign it. It's completely free. And this charter was launched under the patronage of the French Ministry of Digital Affairs and UN Women. Following this charter, which now have more than 130 signatories, we launched the GIS, you remember this morning I spoke about this, the GIS AI certification to ensure that the algorithms used are inclusive throughout all the value chain. And at the beginning of this year, Arborus launched a very innovative experiment in inclusive coding. Maybe we can pass a diapo on the charter. I have this, okay. So I will show you if possible. Okay, this is, if I can show you, no, it's not working. Yes, this is the charter. You can find on the website, it's up, you can go there. You have the 7 principles, and here it's a club of the people and companies signing this charter, and we launched a very interesting and innovative experiments. And Henri will speak about this because it's part of the steering committee, so you don't see the steering committee, but it's on the screen. This experiment is because algorithms reflect their creator and the data provided to them, and merely transposes human thought and culture into computer codes, the algorithms. But if the creator were predominantly men and they use biased data, and they do, then AI will amplify the biases over time, leading to highly discriminatory and even violent systems. Unfortunately, current events daily illustrate the progression of discrimination and violence, particularly through the use of social networks. So, with the steering committee composed by experts in AI, but also in training, in neuroscience, we want to propose in open source a methodology of inclusive coding to redefine a new world more balanced between the traditional male and female values. At Arborus, we are convinced that this is the moment and this is the opportunity to propose a new system of values and organization, and to use AI to accelerate an equal world. To speak about this experiment, I leave now the panel to speak about this. So I join the panel now with this. Yes. So we have a methodology that you can see. Thank you very much. So to start this panel, I would like to give the floor to Henri Peyret. You are CEO of Wasati, and you will explain what is Wasati. You are part of the steering committee for our experiment. And I would like first, if you can explain the methodology you use, and after why your company, so committed in the new world, is part of this committee.
So we discussed with Cristina, because in fact equality is a question of balance, and not just in fact on one side or the other. And it's always difficult in fact to find that balance if we are not getting the right metrics, the right rules. So the first aspect, the first work we have done after the charter was to define a specification to identify what are the rules of recruiting, not recruiting managers, but recruiting managers without specifying it would be a man or a woman. At the beginning, that was easy. We were just trying to get the inclusive language, if I can say that, to try to not specify if that would be a woman or a man. But that while we were progressing with Cristina, we discovered that Cristina has a very good spirit to say, you know what, today when you are using that adjective about performance, you are pushing too much on the man's side, meaning getting some, you should get a strong performance about that. Every word, every adjective which was about pushing that performance aspect was pushing more on the man's side rather than on the woman's side. In addition, we discovered also, with some other rules, that unfortunately, even if that was to recruit a manager, I remember that example, we were not specifying that that was also a question of establishing some coherency, some empathy into a team which was in rebuilding the team, which was typically a woman type of value which should have been pushed. Even the manager who wrote that proposal for a job was saying, oh, I missed completely that. So just getting that sort of multiple perspective about what is pushing for recruiting more a man rather than a woman is not building, in fact, at the end, the right team. So what we tried is to establish a document to get to that sort of specification. And I must recognize we are a little bit ashamed because we pushed that toward 3 teams of students. Unfortunately, that was at the end of the year. So unfortunately, obviously, they were concerned about some other aspect of just trying to push about that and developing the right approach. I am also ashamed because I pushed also for another approach, which was to bring symbolic AI. So I should explain a little bit about that. I apologize a little bit. What you have seen with ChatGPT is how a machine can learn from data itself. And obviously, if the data is more oriented on man type of values, obviously, at the end, you will get a result which will be more man-oriented, with many codes, obviously, than women-oriented. So we should be very careful about that sort of technology, about machine learning, LLM, and all of those technologies, because they are learning from a data set, which is what we have today on the web, which is unfortunately already oriented toward more men type of values. So what does that mean? That means that there are some approach which are saying, okay, let's choose in that case some more balanced type of data to help that LLM to learn better in that aspect. This is one approach to do that. There are some other approaches, obviously, which are to drive your prompt to be more women-oriented, if I can say that. But we do not know yet how to orient, I would say, generative AI to push a better and more balanced result. There is also another technique, you will hear about that technique, which is called RAG, about regression augmented generative, which is in fact, you push in that case what you would like to see better expressed in terms of women-men balance. But you have to choose correctly the type of content, meaning the book, the technology, white papers that you should give in addition to the LLM, which are more generalist, I would say. So there are those two technologies, again, the prompt and also the RAG approach. But we have to go further. If we want really to change, someone else said that we should become generative, that's the same. If we want to really to get the balance a little bit over on the women's side, we need in fact to also bring some other technologies, and that's where the symbolic AI, which is more about rules. So if we put rules in addition to the machine learning, then we are getting something which is better. And that's a little bit the approach. I am ashamed a little bit because I pushed that as a solution, and unfortunately, I was not there because that symbolic AI is still very complex compared to the ChatGPT type of AI, or LLM type of AI.
Okay, thank you very much, Henri. Can you explain why it is so important, and your company is doing this, to change the system and to go through new values, and the link with our experiment is really very concrete?
So I studied the trust aspect for 15 years. And in fact, I discovered that without answering to the right question about fear and our fears about justice, fears about, we see that some of those other fears, we are analyzing, in fact, the petitions to extract, in fact, some subjects by countries and by language to understand better what are the values. What we discovered by doing that is, in fact, there is a sort of mix of values which are more traditional. Not surprisingly, those traditional values are about justice, are about human rights, but they are more men-oriented. Again, if we are just caring about those traditional values, unfortunately, we will get something which will continue in that way, about getting only men type of values. What I discovered by analyzing the petitions and classifying them, I discovered that we are now getting a mix of what we called societal values. And surprisingly, they are more probably voted by women. It's about animal rights. Animal rights pushed a trend which was about becoming vegan. They are also about economic justice. They are also about health. But a lot of new type of values, if we can consider those as values. Again, I am a little bit against the fact that we should consider only universal values. What does that mean? That does not mean anything, and I think that the diversity of the audience today is demonstrating that we have values, but they are not exactly the same. But if we tolerate them, we are able to go in one way to save the world, or at least, in fact, to do something for the world altogether, even if we have not exactly the same. So those societal values and traditional values mix is becoming, in fact, the new law that not unfortunately, our government, our governance, we talked a little bit about governance, is not saving or is not, in fact, establishing something which we see that mix of traditional and societal values. So behind the fact of diversity and men women versus women, in fact, it's a question of how could we balance a better mix of values which are reflecting, in fact, on how we would like, in fact, to get a better world, a more balanced world. And wasati is about getting the right balance. It's coming from a word in Arabian, sorry about that, about my pronunciation. It's about wasat, and wasat is looking for the essence of middle, the essence of the balance. It's something which is coming from also some Asian part of the world, where you have yin-yang, for example, which is exactly the same. We have not in the Western countries, but that's exactly the same type of balance that we are talking about.
Thank you very much, Henri. I think it was clear, because it's a complicated subject and it's really complicated to explain inclusivity in AI. But what is very, very interesting is that we are really at a turning point, because there is no opposition between women and men now. What we want is to have a common system and to be equal. And it is a time to be equal. And AI can help very, very much if we decide to work in that way. To be more concrete now, because it's a little bit theoretical, I give the floor to Caroline. Caroline, she's an expert in real estate. She's an engineer. And she's a specialist in digital transformation in real estate. So can you illustrate how AI in your field is very interesting to CSR and for inclusivity?
Thanks, Cristina. So let me first put it in context. Sorry, it's a bit technical at the end of the day. We are all a bit tired. What I'm going to say about AI in the context of real estate hopefully can resonate to any industry. So first, real estate, we talk about any type of building. It's office building, so building you work in, commercial building, residential building, campus, university, hotel. When we talk about digital transformation, is the use of the right data for the right mean. So when we talk about data in real estate, is a mix of data coming from the building itself, the equipment, the behavior of those equipment, all the different sensors, but as well the use and behaviors of people within those buildings. And on top of it is another aspect, but will be what we call static data, which is all the information related to those buildings, which are not real-time data, but when you mix all of those data, you can do a good analysis and write with that. Real estate has been very slow to embrace digital. Of course, when your business is going well, when you are prosperous, why would you change? It's going well, so I wouldn't change what I'm doing now. But as you all know, real estate is going through a little crisis, and I think it's all over the world. And actually, it takes a good crisis to think outside the box and to innovate. So in terms of, and so that's what we've seen happening in real estate for now a few years, and we see a rise in the use of those technology. The first pillar, in terms of corporate social responsibility that really has been tackled by digital and AI, was about energy consumption. So building real estate is one of the highest, has one of the biggest impact in terms of carbon emission, and it's not only during construction, but it's during the whole life cycle of the building. In France, in Europe, in all over the world, actually, we see more and more regulation controlling that and enforcing to reduce those emissions. On top of it, we've seen the price of energy increasing. And that's probably what's really impacted this adoption of new technology. The price of energy, which generated all people, all stakeholders within the real estate to actually reduce their costs. So the CSR impact in terms of energy is quite obvious by having a real-time vision on your equipment, by crossing the, how you use the behavior of people. You can as well adapt how you heat your building, how you use HVAC, and so it's really a cross between the data on occupation and as well like having a more proactive impact on how you maintain your building, and so you decrease waste. Someone talked about water before. Water is very crucial as well in the real estate industry and during the whole life cycle. The other pillar that then arose after energy is governance, and we saw that before in other panel. But I truly believe that if you use the right data for the right technology, AI can really bring trust. You will have access to reliable data that no one can change. You've got a real good perception of what your building looks like, what your portfolio looks like, and the impact it's got on many different fields, which could be finance, which could be CSR, which could be anything, HR as well. So the impact of having the right technology with the right data help you be more performant, and decrease frustration as well among stakeholders, amongst team. And the last pillar that I now happily see rising now in real estate with technology is inclusion. And that's really like the topic, and I believe probably all of you as well, that's why we are all here today. The impact of AI and digital on making the place a better world, the place which is responding to the true representation of society. With digital technology in real estate, you can bring more accessibility. You can bring more comfort to anyone living, working in a building. But to do so, you need to make sure, and that would be my conclusion for that question, you need to make sure that you've gathered the right type of data. When we talk about inclusion, and today we talk about, we are in a women's summit, and I like what you said, Henry. We are not in a competition. You see what I mean? Like, it's not women against men. It's today, and it's a reality on Earth. That's what you said before. Women, we represent 50% of the society. Meaning, if you want your building in real estate to be attractive, it needs to respond to 50% of the society. If you create a technology, it needs to answer as well the need of this 50% of the society. If you want we are all working in business as well. If you want your business to be prosperous, you need to make sure your industry, your technology, has a true representation of the people who will be using that technology. And today, in real estate, like in any other industry, the users will be 50% women and 50% men. So you need to make sure that when you create your technology, when you collect the data, it takes a true representation, and here we're talking about women, but it's the real representation of your society, the society you live in.
Thank you, Caroline. It is a very good example, very concrete. We understand, I think, very well the way we go and we want to work with. Now, Omar, you are the General Director of the... It's okay, it's a promotion. Of the Foundation for Development in Tunisia. You are coming from Tunis, and can you tell us what is your job and some anecdotes I love, especially on the motivation?
Thank you for having me. So first of all, I'm going to perhaps introduce what we do. So we're Fondation Tunisie pour le Développement. It's an NGO with the aim to foster the social and economic development of Tunisia. We basically focus on youth between 19 and 29 years old. And we choose to go to the regions where there's the highest index of poverty and unemployment in Tunisia. Our biggest project is called ELIF. It comes from the Arabic alphabet. Alif is the first letter, and it's spelled E-Life, okay? And it's about building 10 techno-hubs that are dedicated to youth. In these techno-hubs, 3 or 4 things happen. First of all, vocational training in IT to increase employability and to help jobless graduates or non-graduates find jobs. Second, the entrepreneurship. We have our own incubator in the Elif Center. Third, culture dissemination. And fourth, it's a safe space. So if you are a xenogender or if you're homosexual, which might be like a crime in Tunisia, or no, you can come to our spaces and feel safe. Okay, so this is what the project is about. Why am I telling you this? Because when we first built the first center, it was a mix of technology. So we have like a fab lab, 5 training classes, an eco-friendly building, optic fiber, Wi-Fi everywhere. And we also certified our training programs in Europe. So we thought everybody is going to be thrilled about it, and we're going to have a huge enrollment because everything is free and nothing could go wrong. Guess what? Something did go wrong because we have a lot of drop-offs. So people were dropping off, like 30% of our beneficiaries were dropping off without us understanding what's going on. So we decided to partner with a behavioral analysis startup called Bremper. It's specialized in brand perception, thus the Bremper, okay, to measure the motivation of our beneficiaries, okay? And we did measure the motivation of our beneficiaries, but what happened is that we still have a high rate of, drop-off. Thank God, 2 years later, AI was introduced to Bremper, and then we were able to do better than that, to anticipate. And we were able, thanks to this software Bremper, to detect the likelihood of someone dropping. And it's extremely important. Why? Because people, when they come, they're already excluded. They come from marginalized areas, they are poor, they don't have access to infrastructure, they don't have access to health. So basically, they won't tell you, I cannot come because I'm poor or I don't have money to take the bus. Nobody would tell you that. They just will drop off and you would never hear from them again. So this software, based on a questionnaire and very specific questions, would raise like red flags everywhere as Omar was likely to drop. So I would invite Omar to my desk and then try to ask him, why is he dropping off? Not directly, but try to understand if he has any issues, if there's something I can help with. And thanks to that, thanks to this AI, we were able to decrease the level of drop-off to 15%, which is better than 30%. We still have drop-offs, but at least AI helped us be more inclusive. If the tech could put a slide, I'm sure you've seen this image everywhere. And this morning, I'm sorry, I need to take my glasses. Okay. So I was reflecting this morning, Miss Mamta Shahani was talking about how difficult it was this morning to be a female entrepreneur and deal with the chores and I quote, you have to cook, clean, dress, do makeup, and everybody knows that's impossible. Well, I hope we find this kind of AI. I think we cannot find a more inclusive AI than this one that does the laundry and dishes for you so that you can concentrate on high added value jobs. Okay, but this being said, that was the example that I gave you is an example of using an AI as a lever for inclusion. It's different from inclusive coding and inclusive AI, which, I'm sorry, I'm gonna read again my notes. Okay, so, what is inclusive AI, according to the literature? Inclusive AI refers to the design, development, and use of AI systems in a way that ensures they are accessible, fair, and non-discriminatory for all users, regardless of their gender, ethnicity, age, disability, sexual orientation, or any other personal characteristic. The goal is to create an AI that reflects the diversity of society and avoid replicating and amplifying existing biases and inequality. I think you talked about it earlier, and you too as well, Henry and Cristina. So, 2 other examples. We're also a co-founder of one of the biggest innovation spaces in Tunisia, in which there are several startups. So I want to cite just 2 of them. There are 2 edtechs, so educational startups. And the 2 use inclusive AIs in a way to include everyone. The first one is Sghartoun. It's about an edtech dedicated to children with learning difficulty. So basically, they will never ask you the direct question, does your kid has learning difficulty? It's a very sensitive question. But based on a set of specific questions, they will offer to this kid a very specific learn way that it's adapted to its need. The second one is called Class Quiz. It's also an edtech, but Class Quiz is not about kids with learning difficulties. It's about any type of kids. But as you know, in Tunisia, many regions are underbanked. They don't have access to credit cards. So based on also the form that they fill in, the software detects whether the person comes from a region that is underbanked. And instead of, offer him the possibility to pay online, they would offer him the possibility to buy a voucher that will be delivered to his home and he can pay in cash. So that to include also these people that are underbanked. These are like very small examples, but they show you to which extent AI can go to include everyone. And thank you.
Yes, Caroline.
Created by women.
Yes. Thank you for this really important detail. So, and thank you, because it's very important to have a real example to understand better. And now I would like to ask you, Noureddine, we had the pleasure to have you this morning. As the CEO of EHI in Tunisia and one of the leader of advertising consulting in the world, you give advices to leaders, big companies in the world, big institutions, etc. So you are very powerful to give advices to influence maybe the decision for the decision makers. What is your position, and have you a strategy? Because we want together to have a better world.
Yeah, thank you, Cristina, again for your invitation to this great event and for participation in this panel. I really listened carefully to the previous speakers, and I don't know. I'm about to take the question maybe from different corner, from different standpoint. When we talk about diversity, maybe the first reaction or the first thought is to say, okay, we have to comply with diversity rules, let's say, because maybe it could include people in the system, and it's to try to avoid to keep people, let's say, aside, etc. Maybe it is from, let's say, a good behavior, maybe charity, etc. I would take the question or the issue really from a completely business perspective, business standpoint, and we will see where could be the meeting point between the business imperative and diversity. And we will see that if a business implements something, technology based on AI, for instance, maybe it's not to be a good citizen, but they do it because it is necessary for their business goals. It is now today too much clear that AI provides businesses and all the players, I mean in the business arena, with huge development opportunities. And again, from business perspective, it provides extremely gain opportunities. This is a starting point. Now the AI is something which differentiates the competitiveness of the different players in the marketplace. And the way a company is integrating AI in its business model, the success they achieve in management this will definitely determine its position in the marketplace. That's it. So how schematically the artificial intelligence work? Indeed, the artificial intelligence technology, at the end of the day, has to increase the company's value, the company's economic value, through productivity gains and or through revenue increase, revenue growth. This is the, let's say, the two levers from business perspective. Productivity gain or revenue growth. Our recent study we carried out at the global level show that over 80% of the executives around the world believe that they need AI to achieve their growth objectives. And they are completely right to think so. Half of corporate CEOs, half of them, say that they are now engaged in significant investment plans in AI. So just to appreciate, let's say, the impact of this area. I was talking about the increase of companies' value. It means that with AI, there is an additional value. And this extra value, additional value, could be driven by the existing business model, the business model the company is in up to date, or in a framework of a new business model. This is what we see in the marketplace. And so you have something which you have two levers. On one side, the impact, the value, productivity gain, or revenue increase. And the other side, we have the business model used, the existing one or the new one. And schematically, what we will have is the intersection between the two levers. It will give you all, let's say, the variants or the models and integrating AI within the companies. So at a whole, we could have 4 variants or models for implementing artificial intelligence projects and businesses. For example, if a company is looking to use artificial intelligence to achieve productivity gains, but within its existing business model, they will not change their business model. What does this mean? It means it will probably have to digitalize part or all of its operating model, such as supply chain. Now, if the company aims to achieve revenue growth, but choose to still within the framework of its existing business model, this means that it is undertaken the use of AI with a view to expand its market space. Likely, this is point is here, likely to reach segments, to reach categories, to reach individuals which are not previously reached, or at least not sufficiently reached. And here is the meeting point. So if they do that, it's for business, let's say, reasons. Now, the ultimate value, let's say the ultimate intersection between the two levers, the driver and the business model crossover, that leads to a profound transformation in a company, is that of seeking revenue growth within the framework of a new business model. Which means that the company is launching a new business, is launching a new activity, and then a new P&L. So from what I'm saying now, there are maybe too many ideas to take. The first one, again, and then I insist on that. First, AI is basically an economic value accelerator. And this is the main driver to do it. Otherwise, no one do it. Second, the second idea is more interesting for this panel, is that hopefully AI offers interesting opportunities for wider inclusiveness. Whatever the driver is, it could be productivity gain, it could be revenue growth. Because AI implies the possibility of reaching segments, categories, and or individuals previously unreached, or at least non-sufficiently reached. For us, maybe to address directly the question asked by Cristina, what we are doing in EY. Of course, we think that AI today is, let's say, an important driver, maybe the most important domain of business transformation today. And as a firm, as a global firm, we are investing too much on that area. We are investing billions of dollars in this area to be able to support our clients in their transformation. But what is our philosophy? What is, let's say, our vision in relation to that? And how do we present things to our clients? At EY, we put people at the heart of AI transformation. In substance, we tell to them, we are here to help you navigating the mindset move, the mindset shift from people executing processes presented with data powered by technology to technology powered by data executing processes and management by people. And this is the difference. For us, there are three fundamental pillars when it comes to AI transformation projects. Value accelerator, which I emphasized earlier, is one, but not the only one. The maturity model is another one, and the confidence index is the third one. Just let me say a few words about these two elements. The maturity model is a kind of framework that enables companies to assess their maturity level in relation to AI and to identify the capabilities they need to progress. But the confidence index, which is the most important, is it needs to figure out a solution to make sure that AI transformation process whose projects are aligned with the principle of ethical and responsibility principles. Accountability is one of the principles of ethical and responsible artificial intelligence. Who is the owner of the system? What is the power of this owner, etc. Data protection is another one. Security is another one. Transparency, fairness, and sustainability, among many others. And these are the fundamental pillars to wield an artificial intelligence system. So, in short, our value on this is to help our customers navigate their transformation based on ethical and responsible artificial intelligence for a sustainable growth, empowering people and society for a better world. This is how we think we contribute the best for a more inclusive artificial intelligence. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. It was very clear, very technical, but very clear. We will have just now 5 minutes to look at the video of the Banque de France. Delphine Lescarcel-Evin, she made a very beautiful video where she explained how a big bank as Banque de France is very committed in AI and inclusive AI. So please, if you can, thank you very much. And after we will finish with one last question.
Good afternoon to all of you. We are attending this wonderful meeting organized by SIGEF. I am Delphine Lescarcel, Director in Information Systems at Banque de France. Unfortunately, I was not able to join the meeting in Malta, but I am extremely happy to share with you Banque de France's commitment to enhancing gender equality, especially in IT and artificial intelligence development. Let me start by introducing human resources policy on equity at the company level. Banque de France has comprehensive human resources policy and equality monitoring underpinned by a company agreement that ensures continuous improvement in this domain. The Banque de France has established a strong framework for gender equity and diversity. This includes the creation of a dedicated gender equality manager and the setup of a gender equality network named Talentuel. This group, launched in 2016, targets general objectives but can also specifically focus on digital skills. For example, providing coding workshops to Banque de France colleagues, their wives and their daughters. Government at Banque de France also actively participates in events like FinTech Forum and Women in Finance, showcasing its commitment to gender diversity. These platforms are crucial for sharing best practices and fostering discussions on increasing women representation in tech. If we focus on challenges in IT, I would like to share a focus on inclusive artificial intelligence. As a public institution, we have a strong commitment to promote ethical approach in our activities and especially ethical artificial intelligence. We also need to respond to regulatory obligations within the AI Act, for example. If we share our experiences at Banque de France, in 2021, we signed an international charter for inclusive AI. We have also included in our governance for the project a specific approach. We measure IT projects using AI and make sure the project teams and developers are aware of stereotypes and biases. For example, we want to avoid to generate discrimination. This trusted AI approach includes a particular dimension called inclusive AI to address equity, non-discrimination and fairness. In 2023, 2 years later, Banque de France was awarded Gender Equality European and International Standard AI, the JACE AI label. We were very proud of it. Since then, we have emphasized communication, awareness, training to promote inclusive AI. I can quote, AI Month, raising awareness about inclusive AI. Also conferences covering ethical and inclusive AI topics. I will also share awareness video capsules targeting all staff in a very quick mode. While the Banque de France has made notable progress, there is room for improvement on IT side. The total workforce is 900 persons. Women constitute 30% of the workforce, 40% in management positions, or 42% in data professions. Our strategy to bridge the gap is recruitment principles. We want to attract more women into digital professions, and the Banque de France supports several strategic initiatives. Let me share some examples. Active presence at job forums and events. Involvement in inter-company networks focused on the feminization of digital professions. Also, role models at job forums, in the press, in social media, for example, My Job Places, and also in our internal network. We also work on a specific scientific training and internal promotion. The Banque de France leverages scientific training as a tool for promoting women within digital professions. We have key initiatives, for example, equal representation in training courses, training in new technology. We also want to share key initiatives for the future. Our innovative actions aim at addressing this challenge to spark interest and awareness in IT profession among young students, teenagers. I am proud to share with you our welcoming junior high school student program. Last year, for 1 week, we hosted in Banque de France a junior high school student program, among which half of them were young ladies, in collaboration with the Ministry of Education. This initiative aims to inspire students in the fields such as cybersecurity, digital sobriety, project management, innovation, and included a visit of the data center. Last but not least, our very important event, Dare Digital. In February, we organized the Dare Digital event in our headquarters. We invited 90 middle school students aged between 13 and 14 to help them to explore high school options and career paths. Through various testimonies and interaction with our IT colleagues, students learned about the diversity and opportunities in digital professions. To conclude, beyond our human resources efforts, the Banque de France is socially committed to serve as a powerful example to motivate and encourage high school girls to consider and pursue careers in technology. Our aim is to bridge the gender gap in IT by providing role models, actionable career advice, and therefore fostering a more inclusive and diverse future workforce. Thank you for your invitation. I wish you the best for this conference, and I hope to be with you next year.
So I have the last question, but we will pass because I think that Noureddine and the Banque de France gave a lot of of way to have more parity and to have more inclusion in AI, and we will see next year. We will do a next point on the situation. But to finish and as a conclusion, as we did this morning, maybe the punchline, you look at camera here, and in one sentence you say how AI is so important to be inclusive in your company or for the world. So we want to start. You start?
Yeah, definitely, thank you. I'll look at the camera. Okay, I want to show you another picture. I'm sorry, I love pictures and cartoons, if I take control. But it's this one. Yeah, so it's us who make AI inclusive or exclusive. So don't forget that no matter what you do, you decide. So I'm really happy to be among such successful women. I'm sure you will be the change makers of tomorrow, and you will be the ones to make the AI inclusive. Thank you.
Thank you, Omar.
As I said, at EY we believe that inclusive artificial intelligence is a major issue because even thought transformation business businesses based on AI is basically driven by value acceleration. It hopefully offers huge opportunities to turn it in favor of more diversity. For that end, it should be governed by principles leading to an ethical and responsible AI, where the diverse human beings, the community, and the environment are the main purpose. Thank you.
I might go a bit offside and just answer the question very quickly that you were meant to ask.
Of course,
Because
Caroline.
I kept it for the question. I'm sorry. To make sure AI is inclusive, we need, as I said, a true representation of the society. So we need the woman around the room in every panel, in every discussion, to get our voice heard and to make sure that AI answer the need of the society. I am an engineer, and so many times when I hear, when I challenge my friends, colleagues about the fact that there is so less representation of women, the answer is, if we had more women doing engineering, maybe we could involve them. I'm very pleased to see that in Tunisia, in Morocco, you've got, I think, 50% of engineers are women. It's not really the case in France and in Europe. So while we wait for that to happen, let me remind you something. Engineers do not rule the world. You do not create a product thanks to a company which is 100% made of engineers. In a tech company, which is AI, digital world, you've got product manager who define the product. Plenty of women in that space. You've got customer success manager who listen to the client needs and reflect it into the product. Business development, HR, finance. So yes, there are definitely enough space to include women around the table and get our voice heard. So now, to the sentence I was meant to say. So I believe that inclusive AI is a major issue because to succeed, you need to reflect the true representation of society needs and point of view.
Perfect. Perfect, Caroline. Henri.
AI is a pharmacon. What does that mean? That means that it's at the same time a problem which can emphasize, or it can also help to solve the problem. We should think about that. It's a pharmacon.
Thank you so much, everybody. You were so interesting and perfect. And I hope that it will open your mind and your heart, because it's a very important question for a better world, because if we can work together, we will succeed. Thank you.